I found this mysterious object on a beach on the southeastern coast of Sweden. It is a green plastic container holding two capsules filled with liquid, both wrapped in gauze. Does anyone know what it is? What you found is a decontamination kit known as the IPP-51M. This was standard issue equipment for the armed forces of the Polish People's Republic from the early 1970s until 1995. Called the Individual Anti-Chemical Package, soldiers carried these in their gas mask bags to neutralize chemical agents on skin or weapons. The containers hold specific neutralizing agents like sodium cresylate and monochloramine B suspended in ethanol. It likely washed across the Baltic Sea from Poland, which is a common occurrence for Cold War-era military surplus. I found these concrete pipe-looking things in a wooded area near a canal in Scotland. They are a little over 3 feet in diameter and located near a residential area. There are 5 or 6 of them spaced about 20 meters apart, and I noticed a British Standards Institute logo on the plastic parts. Does anyone know what it is? What you found is a set of landfill gas monitoring wells. These are critical safety infrastructures used on land that was formerly a garbage landfill. As organic waste decomposes underground, it produces methane and carbon dioxide. To ensure this gas does not migrate into the nearby houses or cause an explosion, engineers drill boreholes and install these concrete protective casings. The plastic cap you saw seals the pipe, allowing technicians to open a valve, insert a probe, and measure the pressure and composition of the gas beneath the surface. I found this in the truck parking lot at my workplace, specifically an industrial offset printing plant. It is small but fairly heavy, constructed from ceramic, metal, and glass. Does anyone know what it is? What you found is a high-intensity ultraviolet curing lamp. Given your location, this is a specific component for the printing presses. Modern offset printing often utilizes UV curable inks rather than solvent-based ones. When wet ink passes under this bulb, the high-energy UV light triggers a process called photopolymerization, instantly hardening the ink into a solid polymer. The white ceramic ends are insulators designed to handle the high voltage and extreme heat generated by the mercury arc inside the glass tube. I found this small metal device with a single power button. When I plug it in, it makes a steady vibrating and whooshing noise, almost like a heater. I can feel a tiny amount of air coming from the slits, but not enough for it to be a cooling fan. Does anyone know what it is? What you found is a Marpac Sleepmate, now known as the Yoga Sleep Dome. It is an electromechanical white noise machine originally invented in 1962 by James Crocker. Unlike modern devices that play digital recordings of rain or static, this machine contains an actual fan inside the housing. The asymmetrical fan blades shear the air to create the natural sound of rushing wind without producing a draft. This specific mechanical design allows the user to adjust the tone and volume by rotating the outer cap, a mechanism that has remained the industry standard for over 60 years. I found these inside a toolbox primarily filled with TIG welding supplies. There are chunks of a white material that are harder than beeswax but leave a chalky substance when scratched. There is also a homemade hook tool with a sharp edge. Does anyone know what it is? What you found is welder's soapstone. This is a staple tool in metal fabrication used for marking layout lines on steel. Unlike graphite pencils or ink, natural soapstone is a talc-heavy metamorphic rock that is highly heat-resistant. It remains visible even under the intense temperatures of a welding torch, which allows the fabricator to see their cut lines while working. The hooked metal object is likely a custom-made scriber or a sharpening tool used to grind the blocky stone into a fine edge for precision work. I found these sunglasses along the River Thames in London. There is a small black plastic device taped to the inside of the frame. It looks electronic, but I haven't opened it up. Does anyone know what it is? It's a Bluetooth tracker for eyeglasses, likely a model similar to the Orbit. These small devices are designed to stick to the temple arm of your glasses so you do not lose them. Inside, they house a rechargeable battery and a Bluetooth chip that connects to a smartphone app. This allows the owner to make the glasses ring if they are misplaced within a range of roughly 100 feet. Since you found them lost, it is safe to assume the battery died or the owner was too far away to establish a connection. I found this brown leather pouch in the parking lot at work where freight trucks come in and out. I picked it up thinking it was a lost wallet, but it is sewn shut and feels dense yet squishy. It measures roughly 3 by 2 inches and has a small loop on the corner. Does anyone know what it is? It's a chamois demister pad. This is a classic automotive accessory consisting of a sponge encased in genuine chamois leather. Before modern climate control systems were perfected, drivers used these to manually wipe condensation or fog off the inside of the windshield. The leather material is crucial because it absorbs moisture effectively without leaving streaks or lint on the glass. Given that you found it near freight trucks, it likely belonged to a driver who used it to keep their windshield clear during early morning deliveries. I found this washed up on Prime Hook Beach in Delaware many years ago. It is a round disc of varying thickness with a hole through the center. It feels light and smooth, resembling bone or ceramic, and has a heavy patina from wear. Google suggested a jade disc, but the material is wrong. Does anyone know what it is? It's a drop spindle whorl. This object is a critical component of ancient textile production, acting as a flywheel for a handheld spindle. The disc is placed on a wooden shaft to provide weight and angular momentum, allowing the spindle to rotate steadily while twisting raw fibers like wool or flax into yarn. Given the location and material, this is likely a historical artifact, as whorls made of bone, clay, and stone have been used globally for over 7,000 years prior to the invention of the mechanical spinning wheel. I found this black soft rubber object in a retail pharmacy. It measures about 1 inch by 3/4 of an inch and appears to attach to something else for gripping or cushioning. Does anyone know what it is? It's a protective rubber bumper or stopper. These dense rubber components are designed to dampen vibration, prevent surface damage, or silence impacts on mechanical assemblies. While it looks very similar to bumpers used on motorcycle kickstands, the specific shape suggests it likely fell off a piece of store equipment, such as a rolling cart, a shelving unit, or an automated gate. Unless you find the specific hole it plugs into nearby, it is difficult to identify the exact manufacturer. I found this at a thrift store years ago and just bought it for the aesthetic. It is a small wooden box with a hinged lid, but I never figured out its actual function. Does anyone know what it is? It's a mechanical stationary dispenser. Based on the internal design, this was built to hold a stack of loose paper, pamphlets, or memo sheets. It features a lever linkage mechanism connected to the lid's hinge. When you open the box, the internal wooden block automatically pivots upward, raising the stack and pushing the top sheet forward over the edge. This allows you to grab a single piece of paper easily without fumbling inside the container, a common feature in executive office accessories from the mid-20th century. I found this at the Goodwill bins last year and cannot figure it out. It is a heavy brass object, styled like a gold nugget, about 7 inches long and weighing nearly 8 ounces. It has a copyright mark with the letter B. I thought it might be a paperweight. Does anyone know what it is? It's a decorative centerpiece for a Western belt. This is not a buckle that functions to hold your pants up, but rather an ornamental connector. In Western fashion, these are attached to belts that have snap fittings on both ends. The leather straps loop through the holes on this brass piece and snap shut, positioning this heavy nugget-style weight at the center of the waist. The rough, raw gold texture was a very popular aesthetic in American jewelry and accessories during the 1970s and 1980s. I recently rented a commercial space, and the previous tenant, who was an artist, left these behind. They are massive metal poles that extend up to 11 feet, featuring a threaded section with a small rod. I can figure out the mechanics, but not the specific purpose. Does anyone know what it is? It's a screw jack post, also known as a telescopic steel column. These are structural support tools used to bear heavy vertical loads. The threaded mechanism you noticed functions as a screw. By turning the rod, you can extend the column with immense force to lift sagging floor joists or support a ceiling beam while a wall is removed. They can be used permanently in basements or temporarily during construction projects to ensure the building does not collapse while work is being done. I found this small, metallic, circular object in my grandmother's car. It is a few centimeters in length and has what seems to be a push-in button on the end. Does anyone know what it is? It's a compact LED flashlight. While it might look different from a heavy-duty torch, this design uses button cell batteries to maintain a slim profile. The push button at the rear completes the electrical circuit, powering a light-emitting diode. Unlike older incandescent bulbs, LEDs are solid-state components, meaning they lack fragile filaments that could break due to car vibrations, making them perfect for emergency glove box storage. I found this at a recycling shop, and the engraving on the side is pretty intimidating. It is a large rectangular iron block with a lifting loop on top and metal teeth welded to the bottom. It says "The Crusher" on the side. Does anyone know what it is? What you found is a custom fabricated drop weight, also known in the industry as a drop breaker or wrecking ball alternative. It is essentially a heavy mass of scrap steel welded together to create extreme density. A crane operator lifts this block high into the air and releases it, using gravity and kinetic energy to smash materials below. In scrapyards, tools like this are specifically used to break large cast iron items, like engine blocks or bathtubs, into smaller pieces that are easier to melt down. My mom sent me a box of random things like stickers and a poem I wrote when I was 7, but she also included this. It is just 2 wooden pieces connected by a spring. Google Lens was no help identifying it. Does anyone know what it is? It's a wooden spring catapult toy. Unlike complex medieval siege engines that use torsion, this simple desktop version uses compression. By pushing the top wooden block down, you compress the steel coil, storing elastic potential energy. Once released, the spring snaps back to its original shape, launching small objects like marbles or paper balls across the room. Simple kinetic toys like this were staples in 20th century playrooms before plastics took over. What is this strange assembly? It features a red valve handle, a stainless steel braided hose, and electrical wiring leading into a standard E27 light bulb socket. It looks like heavy-duty plumbing equipment, but the wires suggest otherwise. Does anyone know what it is? It's a custom industrial-style lamp fixture made from repurposed plumbing parts. This aesthetic, often associated with the steampunk or industrial chic movements, involves using hardware store materials like gate valves and steel supply lines to build functional lighting. While the valve looks like it controls water flow, in these DIY projects, the internal mechanism is often modified to act as a rotary on-off switch for the light bulb. The braided hose serves as a durable, rugged conduit to conceal the electrical wires. I found this in an old toolbox belonging to a former mechanic. It measures about 6.5 inches long. The handle is plastic, while the ends are metal. One is blade-like and the other is pointy. Does anyone know what it is? It is a maintenance tool for carpet stretchers. While the owner worked on cars, this specific tool is used in flooring installation. It is designed to clean the teeth of a knee kicker or power stretcher. The metal point runs through the grid of the gripper pad to dislodge packed debris, and the blade end helps pull out stuck carpet fibers. Keeping those teeth clean ensures the stretcher maintains a strong grip on the carpet backing during installation. What is this iron hook measuring 4 by 3.5 inches? It is embossed with the text K&O Knot and Patent DC. It features 3 prongs, and the points where they connect are notably sharp. Does anyone know what it is? This object is known as the no-knot rope hitch. It was invented by George H. Opperl and James C. Waldo, who received U.S. Patent 119,773 on December 1, 1914. The device served as a quick-release fastener, allowing a user to tighten a clothesline or tent cord without tying complex knots. The sharp points you observed are friction teeth designed to bite into the rope fibers to prevent slipping under tension. The text Patent DC is likely a worn or misstamped abbreviation for patent pending. I found this inside my Hot Point dishwasher. It is a lightweight, pearlescent plastic piece with no threads, and it does not seem to match any other materials inside the machine. Does anyone know what it is? What you found is the upper spray head assembly. Although the pearlescent sheen looks out of place, Manufacturers often use specific low-friction plastics like acetyl for rotating components to ensure smooth movement under heat. This unit mounts to the top water feed tube. When the dishwasher runs, water pressure flows through angled exit ports, creating a reaction force that spins the head to distribute water over the top rack. It likely snapped off due to worn retention clips. Someone recently gave us this large painted paddle as a gift, but we aren't sure who sent it. It features a carved handle and a leather strap, but the paint doesn't look safe for serving food. Does anyone know what it is? It's a decorative chalkboard designed to resemble a vintage serving paddle. This specific item is a mass-produced home decor piece sold at retailers like Walmart. The black surface is coated with chalkboard paint, intended for writing weekly menus or grocery lists rather than serving charcuterie. The leather strap allows it to be hung on the wall to achieve a rustic farmhouse aesthetic. I found this metal hole while digging in my backyard. It has a metal cover that reads, "Company Private Access Only." It looks like a metal barrel with a plastic liner inside, filled with water and roots. I dug down 3 to 4 feet and still could not find the bottom. Does anyone know what it is? It's a dry well. This is a passive drainage structure designed to manage excess surface water or runoff from roofs. Unlike a septic tank, the bottom is intentionally open or porous. It captures water and holds it temporarily, allowing gravity to slowly filter the fluid into the surrounding soil. The specific lid suggests it was originally installed by a utility company or developer to control the water table on the lot. I work in a homeless shelter where random items often appear, and I found this on my office floor this morning. It looks like a 3-piece metal nozzle with threading on one end and 6 evenly spaced holes on the other. It is about half the length of a standard pen and screws apart smoothly. I thought it might be for spraying liquids, but I am stumped. Does anyone know what it is? It is a universal titanium nail used for consuming cannabis concentrates, a process known as dabbing. While you guessed it was a nozzle for spraying, the holes are actually for airflow intake. This metal assembly screws into a glass water pipe or rig. The user heats the titanium dish with a torch until it reaches high temperatures, then places the concentrate onto the surface to vaporize it instantly. Titanium is the material of choice here because it is durable and retains heat efficiently without breaking under thermal shock. I found this small metal pot with a confusing design. It has an inner cup that appears to fit into the lid, along with adjustable steam holes. The small cup even has its own handle. Does anyone know what it is? What you found is the burner assembly for a fondue set, often called a chafing dish fuel holder. You actually have the assembly confused. That inner cup is designed to hold gel fuel, like sterno, or alcohol paste. Instead of going into a lid, this unit sits on a rack underneath the main cooking vessel to keep the cheese or chocolate warm. The holes you mentioned are not for steam, but are actually air vents. By rotating the cover, you regulate the oxygen flow to control the heat intensity or close them entirely to extinguish the flame. I found this thick blue elastic piece on the floor near my washer and dryer. It measures about 9 to 10 inches long and 3/4 of an inch thick. I was worried it might be a broken part from my vacuum or appliances, although my cats might have dragged it in. Does anyone know what it is? It is a broken segment of a latex resistance band used for home exercise, or possibly a band used to secure towels to beach chairs. Rest assured, this did not come from your appliances. Washer and dryer drive belts are manufactured from reinforced black rubber or polyurethane to withstand high heat and friction. They are almost never made of soft blue elastic like this. It is likely an old workout band that snapped and was carried off by a pet. I found this wooden side table in a charity shop in the UK. It features a movable counter with rotating numbers along with oddly specific holes and grooves carved into the wood. It looks like it was custom made for a specific game. Does anyone know what it is? What you found is a combination billiards rack and scoring table. Designed for game rooms or pubs, every groove serves a function. The specific round holes are sized to hold pool cues upright, while the concave depressions on the surface prevent billiard balls from rolling onto the floor. The rotating number wheels are a manual scoreboard, allowing players to track frames 1 in snooker or 8-ball without needing a chalkboard. It is a classic accessory for a gentleman's game parlor. I ordered some sunscreen from Amazon, but this came in the box too. It is a blue, puck-shaped object that feels slightly squishy to the touch. It also has a very strong fragrance. Does anyone know what it is? It is a drop-in toilet bowl cleaner tablet. Specifically, this appears to be a gel-based cleaning disc containing concentrated surfactants and dyes. When placed in a toilet tank or rim cage, it dissolves slowly to sanitize and deodorize the water with every flush. The squishy texture distinguishes it from compressed powder blocks, indicating a gel composition often made with sodium lauryl sulfate. As for why it arrived with your sunscreen, it was likely a simple picking error at the fulfillment center where a loose item fell into your open box on the conveyor belt. I found this thick object at low tide on a beach in Cádiz, Spain. It looks exactly like a puzzle piece, but it is heavy, roughly 2 inches long and 1 inch thick. It has chipped gray paint, the letter U on one side and the number 24 on the other. Is this a child's toy or something industrial? Does anyone know what it is? What you found is a piece from a vintage 3D logic game known as the Gordon. These were manufactured using cast aluminum or heavy composite resin, designed to feel substantial and durable, which explains why it survived the ocean currents. The letter U and number 24 are coordinate markings used to identify where this specific block fits into the larger three-dimensional structure. Often sold as executive desk toys in the 1980s and 1990s, the goal was to assemble the heavy, industrial-looking pieces into a solid, self-supporting shape. I found 5 of these at Goodwill. They are empty wooden tubes with silver ends, stamped EA Germany with numbers like 110 or 100 on the bottom. Each one is about 14 inches tall, weighs 6 ounces, and has openings measuring 2 inches at the top and 2.5 inches at the bottom. Does anyone know what it is? What you found is a set of industrial textile bobbins used in cotton mills. These tapered cones were essential components in spinning frames and power looms during the 19th and 20th centuries. The yarn or thread was wound tightly around the wooden body, while the metal rings on the ends reinforced the wood against the high centrifugal forces of spinning. The mark EA Germany identifies the manufacturer as Emil Adolf, a company founded in Reutlingen in 1879 that became a global leader in producing hard paper and wooden tubes for the textile industry. I bought this in a souvenir shop in Portugal over 30 years ago. It consists of 3 small bits of cork connected by a malleable metal frame. The prongs are stamped with Esterlux, but I never figured out its purpose. Does anyone know what it is? What you have is a floating wick holder for a vigil lamp. These simple devices are designed to sit on top of a layer of olive oil within a glass of water. The cork provides buoyancy, ensuring the metal center stays above the liquid surface. You thread a short cotton wick through the center hole, which draws up the oil to sustain a flame. They are commonly used in Catholic households and shrines across Southern Europe for continuous prayer lighting. I found this inside a pencil case. It is malleable and acts like clay, but it turns stringy when I pull it apart. Does anyone know what it is? It is a kneaded eraser, also known as putty rubber. Unlike rigid vinyl erasers that work by friction and leave crumbs, this tool functions by adsorption. It lifts graphite and charcoal particles off the page without damaging the fibers of delicate drawing paper. Because the material is pliable, artists can shape it into a fine point to erase tiny details or roll it across a sketch to lighten specific areas. To clean it, you simply knead the material to trap the graphite deep inside, exposing a fresh surface for reuse. I found these metal treads mounted on the wall. They are about 3.5 to 4 feet long with small cylindrical holes running almost the entire length. They are in a weird spot right behind where a door opens. I haven't been able to find matching shelves. Does anyone know what it is? It's a wall-mounted shelving standard system. These specific metal strips are known as pilaster standards, a hardware solution popularized by manufacturers like Nape and Vogt in the 20th century. The cylindrical holes are spaced at 1/2 inch increments to accept specific metal clips or supports. You insert a clip into the desired hole, and it locks in place to hold a shelf board. Builders often install these in tight spaces, like behind a door, to turn dead air into shallow storage without obstructing the swing of the door. I found this machine on the side of the road. It is a waist-high plastic table powered by electricity, featuring a long horizontal drum that spins. It has a speed knob and a warning sticker about pinching hands. Does anyone know what it is? What you found is an electric rotary ironer, often referred to as a mangle. This appliance is designed to press large flat linens like bed sheets and tablecloths. The horizontal drum, covered in that white fabric sleeve, rotates and pulls fabric against a heated metal shoe located under the overhanging plastic housing. While manual mangles were used in the 19th century to wring water out of clothes, electric versions like this became popular in households during the 1950s for ironing. The missing wooden piece was likely the feedboard used to guide the laundry safely into the roller. I found this inside a kitchen cupboard door at an empty property here in the United Kingdom. It is a white plastic flap with the Yale logo on it, located near the back door. Does anyone know what it is? It's a mounting bracket for a Yale burglar alarm remote controller. Specifically, this holder is designed for the HSA series key fobs. The plastic design creates a friction fit to hold the remote securely in place. Homeowners mount these inside cupboards near entry points so they can quickly grab the remote to arm the system when leaving, or store it safely immediately upon returning home. I saw this car driving in Michigan. It has round objects with electrical wires attached to the trunk and strange black panels on the bumper. It also sports manufacturer license plates. Does anyone know what it is? It's a sensor array on a prototype test vehicle, often called a mule. Since Michigan is the hub of the American auto industry, manufacturers test unreleased cars on public roads to gather real-world data. The round wired objects are external microphones used to record wind noise and exhaust levels, while the black panels often conceal radar or LiDAR units for testing blind spot monitoring and self-driving capabilities. Engineers analyze this data to refine the vehicle's aerodynamics and safety systems before mass production begins. I found these strange components made of hard, thick plastic with wires and metal backing sheets attached. They seem to be electrical parts from one larger device, but I can't identify the specific function. Does anyone know what it is? What you found are internal components from a scientific environmental analyzer. Based on the architecture, these parts are likely from a system utilizing dynamic model data averaging, or DMDA. This technology is used in hydrology to analyze groundwater and land surface data. The circuitry helps compute time-variable weights, effectively calibrating computer models to match real-world observations. An instrument fitter noted that this specific layout resembles the internals of large-scale gas or fluid analyzers used to ensure simulation accuracy in field research. I have a weird piece of metal with 3 balls trapped inside that I can fidget with. It stands about 3 inches tall and weighs around 26 grams. I have no idea where I found it or what material it is made of. Does anyone know what it is? It's a wire-bending craft project, often used as a DIY keychain. This is a classic exercise in metalworking known as a captive ball mechanism. The technique involves bending a single piece of stiff wire or rod to create a cage that traps the metal spheres. The balls are inserted before the final bends are made, locking them inside so they can rotate freely but cannot escape. While it functions well as a fidget toy, it is primarily a demonstration of skill in cold bending metal without using welds. I found these small objects in my backyard. They measure about 1.5 centimeters by 0.5 centimeters. I have a dog, so I'm worried about what these are, especially since they seem to dissolve in water. Does anyone know what it is? What you found is almost certainly a piece of dry dog food or kibble that has been exposed to the elements. Kibble is manufactured using a process called extrusion, where dough is pushed through a die under high heat and pressure to create porous, dry shapes. Because these pieces are airy and dehydrated, they act like sponges. When left in the backyard, rain or morning dew causes the starch structure to absorb water, swell significantly in size, and eventually dissolve into a soft, mushy paste. I bought a Van Gogh Royal Talons watercolor paintbrush, but I am confused by the design. There is a strange flat wedge at the very end of the handle instead of a standard rounded tip. Does anyone know what it is? It is a tool for removing paint pans from a palette. Watercolor sets often use small plastic inserts called half pans, which snap tightly into the case to prevent them from falling out during travel. The end of this specific Royal Talons brush functions as a lever. You insert the wedge between the pan and the plastic grid to pop the paint out, allowing you to clean the tray or reorganize your colors without using your fingernails. I found this at a grief counseling center. It looks like steel wire wrapped in fabric with the words "homemade" written on it. And there are strange gems at the ends. Does anyone know what it is? It's a hair bun accessory, often modeled after the popular 1990s product known as the harigami. The fabric conceals two flat metal spring bands, similar to the mechanism found in slap bracelets. To use it, you place your hair between the strips, roll it up to the scalp, and snap the ends to lock the bun in place. While this specific one appears to be a handcrafted version, the underlying mechanical design allows for secure updos without the need for pins or elastics. I keep seeing these mounted on the walls of the elevators in my building in Bangkok. It is a plastic object, about the size of a business card, with a flamingo graphic on top. I also saw one in a bathroom next to a toilet, but it seems too shallow to hang anything on directly. Does anyone know what it is? It is one half of a two-part interlocking adhesive mounting system. Often sold as double-sided socket hooks, these devices allow you to mount removable items to vertical surfaces without drilling. You're looking at the wall-mounted base. A matching slotted piece adheres to the back of an object, like a tissue box, remote control holder, or hand sanitizer dispenser, which then slides down over this clear tab to lock into place. The flamingo is simply a decorative print typical of budget household goods sold in Southeast Asia. I found this metal bar under the sink right next to the dishwasher. It looks like a tool, but I am not sure what it opens or tightens. Does anyone know what it is? What you found is a faucet installation tool, commonly known as a basin wrench. These are specifically designed to solve a common plumbing problem, reaching the mounting nuts located in the cramped space behind the sink bowl. Standard wrenches are often too wide or short to fit between the sink and the wall. This long tool allows a plumber to reach up and tighten the hardware from below. It was likely left behind after a dishwasher or faucet installation. I found this very small metal object on my bedroom floor while unpacking bags from another house. It is smaller than a pea, metallic, and has a tapered, hollow end that looks sharp enough to pierce skin. Does anyone know what it is? What you found is the tip of a broken hypodermic needle. Specifically, this appears to be the shaft of a high-gauge insulin syringe, likely around 31 or 32 gauge. These needles are manufactured to be incredibly thin to minimize pain during daily injections. However, this thin profile makes the steel susceptible to metal fatigue or shearing. If the needle hits a hard surface or bends significantly during an injection, the hollow shaft can snap clean off the plastic hub. Since this is a used medical sharp, you should dispose of it in a rigid container immediately. I found this small metal fixture measuring just 2 by 1 inches. It appears to be made of copper and features 3 small protruding shelves, each with a hole. Does anyone know what it is? It's a wall mounting bracket for a vintage hand-cranked ice crusher. Specifically, this style was used for mid-century kitchen appliances like the rival Isomat, popularized in the 1940s and 1950s. Since these mechanical crushers were heavy and required significant force to operate, this bracket anchored the device securely to a wall or cabinet frame. The slots allowed the heavy machine to slide on for stability during use and slide off easily for cleaning. I found this small stainless steel tweezer tool in a junk drawer. I tried using Google Lens, but I couldn't find an exact match for this specific shape. Does anyone know what it is? What you found is a specialized optical tool used for repairing eyeglasses. Specifically, these are nosepad adjustment pliers. The unique forked tip is designed to grip the tiny mount of a push-in nosepad. By squeezing the handle, an optician can safely pop the pad out of its bracket without slipping and scratching the lenses or bending the delicate metal frame. It is a standard instrument in any eyeglass repair kit used to swap out worn or discolored pads. I found this small gray metal object on the ground in Dublin, Ireland. It feels heavy for its size and measures about 1.5 inches long. Does anyone know what it is? It's a miniature aspergillum. This is a liturgical implement used primarily in the Roman Catholic Church for sprinkling holy water. The name derives from the Latin verb aspergere, which means to sprinkle. The device features a perforated metal bulb at the end, which contains a sponge or reservoir to hold water. When the priest waves it, centrifugal force releases droplets through the holes to bless people or objects. Since this one is only 1.5 inches long, it was likely part of a portable travel kit used by a priest for house visits. I found these heavy acorn-shaped metal pieces while cleaning out the back of a car garage. They feel like lead and came with a T-shaped tool. They are likely over 40 years old. Does anyone know what it is? What you found are solder dops used for diamond cutting. These are essential tools in the traditional art of the lapidary. The acorn shape is made of a lead solder alloy. To use it, a gem cutter melts the tip and embeds a rough diamond directly into the soft metal. Once it cools and hardens, the lead grips the stone securely, allowing the artisan to grind and polish the facets against a spinning wheel. This specific style was illustrated in the 1950 reference book, The Art of the Lapidary. The T-shaped tool is the wrench used to lock the DOP into the cutting arm. What is this strange wooden object that transitions from a polished handle to a rough, bulbous mass? It isn't heavy, but carries some heft at the end. The handle looks professionally finished, but the top looks like raw, blemished bark. Does anyone know what it is? It's a cudgel, a type of club fashioned from a tree burl or root knot. The rough blob is actually a dense knot where the wood grain grows in a chaotic, swirling pattern, making it significantly harder than straight grain wood and resistant to cracking upon impact. While it resembles the famous Irish shillelagh, those are typically made from blackthorn root and cured over a fire. This specific piece uses the natural branch extending through the knot to form the handle, utilizing the tree's natural deformity as an effective blunt defense tool. This object has been outside my neighbor's door for a week. It has steady lights that just turned blue, and it emits a constant high-pitched tone that sounds like tinnitus. It is driving me crazy, but my husband can barely hear it, and my dog ignores it entirely. There was also a line of white powder on the floor nearby. Does anyone know what it is? It's an ultrasonic pest repellent device. These units are designed to deter rodents and insects by emitting high-frequency sound waves, typically above 20 kilohertz. The science behind them is disputed, and many entomologists consider them ineffective. The reason you can hear it while your husband cannot is likely due to presbycusis, the natural loss of high-frequency hearing as humans age. The white powder you saw is almost certainly diatomaceous earth or a similar insecticide, confirming your neighbor is actively battling an infestation. I found this small gray box attached to the side of a house. It has a hole in the center and connects to a wire that looks like an electrical line. Does anyone know what it is? It's a vintage telephone demarcation point, also known as a network interface device. This specific small gray style dates back to the mid-1980s and served as the physical boundary where the utility company's responsibility ended and the homeowner's wiring began. In the late 1990s, updated regulations introduced larger boxes with locking compartments and test jacks to isolate signal issues. This one remains likely because the original interior wires were too short to reach the new system, so technicians simply used the old box as a passive junction point. I spotted this square metal coil at the end of a neighbor's driveway in the United Kingdom. It looks like it is attached to concrete slabs, but it seems too flimsy to be a bike rack or hostile architecture. Does anyone know what it is? It's a heated towel rack. This is a standard bathroom appliance used to dry towels and warm up the room, which has been discarded. While it appeared fixed to the ground, it is likely just resting there or weighted down pending trash pickup. The distinct serpentine shape allows multiple towels to hang flat against the heated bars. It is common for homeowners to leave metal appliances like this near the road for scrap collectors to retrieve. My cats collected about 100 of these in my apartment, They are small, very thin, flimsy black hooks made of plastic. Each one is a little larger than a quarter in length and has a small ball at the end. Does anyone know what it is? It's a collection of bristles from a hairbrush. Specifically, these appear to be the nylon pins from a cushioned paddle brush or a detangler. The ball at the tip is dipped in epoxy to make the bristles smooth against the scalp. Over time, the rubber cushion of the brush degrades or the adhesive fails, allowing these pins to slide out. Your cats have likely found a deteriorating brush and are treating the falling pins as toys. I found this under our couch. It is 0.7 centimeters across, very flat and fluffy. It is not sticky and it is not moving. There is nothing similar nearby. Does anyone know what it is? It's a piece of non-woven fabric. Unlike traditional cloth made by weaving or knitting yarns, non-woven textiles consist of fibers bonded together through heat, chemicals, or mechanical pressure. This material is standard in the furniture industry, often used for the black dust cover found on the underside of sofas, known as cambric. Since you found it under the couch, it is almost certainly a scrap of this lining or internal batting that detached or was left over from the manufacturing process. I found this inside a box containing various games. It is a blue plastic tray, measuring approximately 12 by 16 inches and 1 inch deep, with the words "Def Leppard" raised on the surface. Does anyone know what it is? What you found is a custom-made project from a high school industrial arts class, likely dating to the late 1980s. It was created using a vacuum forming machine, a common piece of equipment in shop classes during that era. Students would arrange letters or molds on a perforated table, heat a plastic sheet until pliable, and apply suction to shape the material. Since the band Def Leppard was at the height of their fame around 1987, this was almost certainly a student's personal storage tray made for a grade. I received a donation of card-making supplies and found these plastic pyramid-like objects inside. They are hollow, come in different geometric shapes, and look like stepped towers. Does anyone know what it is? It's a set of paper quilling towers, sometimes known as border buddies. These are specialized tools used in the art of paper quilling to create consistent shapes. You wrap thin strips of paper around the different steps of the plastic tower to form uniform loops of specific sizes. The different towers allow you to create perfect squares, triangles, or circles without manual measuring. Once the paper strips are shaped and glued, they are arranged to build intricate three-dimensional designs on greeting cards and scrapbooks. What is this clear plastic cylinder with internal spikes? A guitar pick is shown for scale, making it less than 2 inches long. It has hollow ends and the sharp spikes are mounted in the center, pointing outward. Does anyone know what it is? It's a transfer guard, typically used for filling insulin pump reservoirs. This safety device acts as a coupler between a medication vial and a reservoir. The larger end snaps onto the insulin vial, while the smaller end connects to the reservoir, allowing the internal spikes to pierce the rubber seals of both containers simultaneously. This mechanism creates a closed system, allowing the liquid to transfer efficiently while preventing needle stick injuries and maintaining sterility. I found this lying on my basement floor. It is made of light metal, and I suspect my cat might have dragged it out from somewhere. It looks like it could be part of a hose end. Does anyone know what it is? What you found is a hose crimp fitting, also known as a ferrule. These cylindrical metal sleeves are used to permanently attach fittings to hoses in plumbing and hydraulic systems. A specialized crimping tool applies immense pressure to the metal ring, deforming it around the hose material to create a leak-proof seal without the need for screw clamps. Since it was loose on the floor, it likely snapped off an old washing machine supply line or a garden sprayer. Which of these items surprised you the most? Or maybe you have one of them in your own garage? Let us know in the comments. If you enjoyed learning something new today, please hit like and subscribe to support the channel. Thanks for watching.